Today is Thursday, Parashat Vayikra, and we're learning from Chok Leisrael the Ketuvim for today, from the book of Mishlei. Tzinim pahim bederech ikesh, shomer nafsho yirhak mehem. So Shlomo HaMelech teaches us here there are thorns and snares, all sorts of trouble in the way of a person who's crooked. In other words, eventually you'll catch up with him and he will fall in his own trap. Shomer nafsho yirhak mehem, a person who guards his soul will distance himself from them, and therefore this pasuk really indicates the consequences of a person's actions. If he goes in the right way, then he'll be spared from trouble. And if he acts in a way that is not responsible and in a crooked way, then eventually he'll be punished. He'll suffer for the consequences of his actions. The next pasuk, Chanoch lana'ar al pi darko gam ki yazkin lo yasur mimena, which means educate a child according to his way, according to his natural inclination. Every child would have a certain inclination towards certain things that interest him, and therefore that's what you should educate him in that path. In other words, use his natural inclination, natural talents to develop them. And then if you do that, Gam ki yaskin, even when he's old, he will not depart from it. Unfortunately, there are sometimes parents who force their children into a certain profession that they have no interest in. And when they grow up, they're just miserable, either continuing in that profession or they switch to something else. So it's a great challenge sometimes to see what is the natural inclination of the child and to channel it in the proper way and to use the talents for good, positive results, but using always in mind, having in mind always the natural inclination of that child. Ashir berashim yimshol ve'eved love le'ish malveh. So this pasuk says the rich rules over the poor and the borrower is a servant to the lender. So Rashi explains Ashir not necessarily wealthy in terms of money, but rather in terms of knowledge of Torah. So he says, person who's not educated in Torah is going to always need a scholar to show him the right path, the right way. And that could be taken also on its literal meaning. When a person is a borrower, he sort of turns, quote unquote, as a servant to the lender. Zorea avla yiktzor aven v'shevet evrato yichle. So zorea avla, a person who plants, who sows, who plants seeds of avla, of iniquity, of trouble, of bad behavior, yiktzor aven, he's going to reap only vanity, nothing. Nothing is going to come out of it that is positive. V'shevet evrato yichle, a person who abuses his others with his stick, that stick eventually is going to fail. You cannot take advantage of people forever. At some point, that stick that he uses, that rod, the pasuk says the rod of wrath will fail eventually. Tov ayin hu yevorach ki natan milachmo ladal. Tov ayin is a person who has a generous eye, is happy for the success of others. He's kind to others, such a person, he'll be blessed. Because he gives of his bread to the poor, he has compassion for others, somebody who is compassionate, somebody who's merciful, who's generous with others, he'll be blessed. Baruch Adonai le'olam, amen ve'amen.